in accordance with Public Act 228 of 2020. And with the authority of Don, if that's all right, I'll go ahead and I will call the meeting to order. Record indicate and show that we have with us this morning myself. My name is Aaron Powers. I'm the city assessor for the city of Kalamazoo. We have board of review member Donna Keller. We have board of review member Dick Skalski. We have board of review member Don Gladstone, who's acting as chair. And let the record show that we do have a quorum.
Aaron, Don Gladstone is the chair from March Board Review, and Donna Keller is the vice chair, as voted in at the March Board Review.
Thanks, Andrew. So it shows that we have the determination of the panel. So move to agenda item number 3. And that's just a brief, quick review of the authority of the Board of Review for our July and December sessions. So as you're aware, the Board of Review has the authority to review qualified errors for the 2019 and 2020 property assessment law. In addition, it has the opportunity to review clerical errors relating to a determination of a transfer of ownership for 2017 to 2020. Principal residence exemption claims for 2017 to 2020. Qualified agricultural property exemptions, if we had any in the city of Board of Review. I'm sorry, the city of Kalamazoo. Homestead property exemption claims for 2020. Veteran exemption claims for 2020, and any other business that may become before this board. Do we have any public comment? Andrew, do you see, or Neil, do you see anyone that has a public comment? Sometimes there's a lag, so we'll maybe give anybody an opportunity to call in. So hearing no public comment, Andrew,
there were no public comments at this time.
No public comments, thank you. So Andrew, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you for consideration of items for determination and decision. You're muted, Andrew.
Okay, I'm trying to share the screen here. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So this is the spreadsheet, which is all the items. We can also bring up the 4031 pages for each of these. So as Aaron stated, the Board of Review does clerical errors, principal residence exemptions, veterans exemptions, and the first one that we have on the list is the transfer and uncapping. It was a missed item. These items were also in your packet of the 4031s. You do not have to print those out, but I gave them to you because those would correspond with each items on the list.
Oh, good.
So in this case, the first one is similar. This is just an uncapping. Oh, I'm sorry. When you have 3 screens, it's a little tough to navigate. So just an example of an uncapping, it won't do this for every single one of them, but this is the original value of the 13,500, and the taxable was original 8231, and there was a transfer of ownership in 2019. In most of these cases, actually in all the cases for the transfers and uncappings, we did not receive a property transfer affidavit. So the only way we found out about these is typically we got a copy of the recorded deed, or when the new owner called and was wondering why the tax bill was still in the name of the old owner. So this is according to the Board of Review has the authority to uncap up to the past 3 years and recalculate the taxable value accordingly.
Looks good.
So I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet and we'll just go down through each of those there. So the next one is a veterans exemption. Mr. Yeager, Dial Timely. Desiree Williams is a pre. The next one we have is an uncapping. Next one is a pre that's going back from 2017, 18, 19, and 20.
Wow.
There are still people out there, surprisingly enough, that have, did not file a pre or thought they did, and they didn't get it turned in by the title company, or it just was transferred among family members, and the new owner of the property did not file. Uncapping for Mr. Smith, a veterans exemption for Mr. Christian, a poverty exemption for Mr. Warden. For Mr. Warden's poverty exemption, we can bring, let me bring that up. Which one? So with the poverty exemption, as you're aware, the poverty exemption that City Commission's policy is that they pay no more than 3% or 5% of their income towards property taxes based on the federal poverty guideline, but the City Commission policy is 25% above that. And so 3% of their income would be if they're over age 65 and 5% if they're under. And so Mr. Warden submitted his bank statements, SSI papers, any bills, and his gross income for the year was determined to be $10,200. We do ask them, we don't calculate the homestead credit anymore as part of their income because it is a refund, but we do inform them that they should file the homestead credit rebate and a home heating credit if they're eligible for those. The millage rate changes each year. And so then we divide that and figure out what the recommended taxable value would be. In this case, his original was $23,002, and the recommended taxable value is going down to $10,015. As you're aware, most of our poverty and hardship applications are renewals. They basically come to us every single year as required by our current policy. And as the income level changes, this would adjust, and as tax rates change, then this would also adjust what their adjusted taxable value would be. And so automatically this will pop back up next year. They will have to reapply for 2021. Okay. As I go down through here, if there's any questions on any of these items that you want to see a little bit more on.
Andrew, I just have a question. Could you explain what it is people would need to do? Remind us what it is people need to do in order to reapply. Do they need to call the assessor's office?
We have the poverty exemption application available online and outside of our treasurer's office in a holder of a bunch of forms, standard forms like the property transfer affidavit and rescission form and principal residence form. Something that we started doing beginning of this year for veterans exemptions, we're actually going to do it this year again for poverty exemptions as well, is that anybody that filed last year will send them an application just as a reminder. And the application is set and ready to go. I did not put it out online yet, and we have not put it in the bin because until the board of review, we're still doing 2020. After today, then they can start filing for 2021. January 1st is the official time when they can start filing for 2021. And on the application, we list the 3 dates that they have to submit their form by, either for March board, July, or December. And like with the veterans, we've reached out to anybody who has filed in the past to make sure. I think we've got everybody that filed a veterans exemption in 2019 did file for 2020, and now we have additional. As well as the poverty, this would be something new for us to reach out to them. I will tell you that anytime that our 311 speaks to somebody, or I know Robin and John have spoken to somebody, and if they express a difficulty in paying taxes, we will recommend that application and at least send it to them for them to review to see if they qualify.
That's great. Thank you.
The only application for poverty that we had to deny is the neighborhood builders at the 529 Charlotte. And the reason for denial is twofold. One, it's not in the ownership name of Lakina Guy, and it does not have a principal residence exemption on the property because it's owned by an LLC. And there is some title issues with this property, and the owner was contacted at the beginning of December and was not going to be able to get those items corrected. But because they have submitted an application, it is going through as a denial because they did submit it to the assessor's office in a timely manner. So continuing down through here, we have a couple more poverty exemptions for Gill and Graves, some uncappings. Just so you can see, Federal Credit Union, Sunray Land Company acquired a bunch of properties. Did not file. We have a couple pre's going for 3 years. In this case, 17, 18, 19. Veterans exemption on Edinburgh. And I'll remind you that the veterans exemptions, they have to file every single year too, just like the poverty exemptions. We have a fire loss, Jamieson Dial at 1110 Weaver. We were informed of the fire after July border review. So the owner received their tax bill, questioned it, and presented information to John, and he was able to confirm that the fire did in fact occur in 2019. And the owner provided a copy of their fire report. We just never received a copy of the fire report in the beginning of 2020. This is adjusting it based on the condition that it was at the end of the year. Let's see, continuing down. We have more pre's and uncappings. Another veterans exemption on Siesta. 3 hardships in a row on Madison, Clover, and Kilgore. A pre. Hardships and the veterans exemption on Howland, and capping, and another pre. And then we get into the personal property items. Typically we have a lot more, but personal property this year is actually not that many. What we've discovered is there was just a couple clerical errors on the Ross Diagnostics. That one was actually they had filed the items on their disposal list and it was missed. And so they actually did not owe anything. It was the value was supposed to be taken off based on the return. We have some out of business. I see that I did not change this. This is a school district. I apologize. It's supposed to be 39. Bittergy and a couple other properties on Kilgore Road. They filed a return under an old account number, and upon checking all their accounts, they did not qualify for the 5076 exemption. And so we had to split them into their own accounts at the July board review. However, it looks like they were set up under the wrong school district code. And typically it should not matter, but because they're paying some school operating tax, they need to pay the correct school operating tax. So this isn't a value change on those items, but it is just a change on the school district. So it's going to affect the taxes that they pay. The back place was a 5076 that was timely filed, that was attached to a letter that got stapled to another property that we discovered when we went through our audit. A lot of these we have some out of businesses. They were no longer in service, but they, as we're seeing this year as well, signs around the buildings, they appeared to be there, but they actually were not there. It was One item, the Citizens Asset Financial was another one that they did qualify for 5076. They did timely file the item, but the other property was attached to the back with another one. So they had two accounts here in the city of Kalamazoo. One was granted and this one was not because it was missed. So what happens when they staple too many forms together, or they intermix the accounts between, if they have multiple holdings, they need to file a 5076 for each account. And sometimes they were all together. Are there any questions on any of these items here?
No, but I do wonder, Andrew, would you be willing to explain the pre, you refer to it as pre, and I don't know how many people will be watching this, but I'm not sure everyone knows what that is. Do you mind doing it just a quick
Sure. A quick thing is the PRE is a short acronym for a principal residence exemption. And in Michigan, if you own, it means you're entitled to the property and you occupy that property as your principal residence, your primary residence, where you intend to reside and return to, you're entitled to file the affidavit, which exempts you from the school operating tax. And as long as you maintain that property as your principal residence, don't claim any other exemption anyplace else or any state that has a similar exemption, you can hold on to that lower tax rate. Adjacent vacant properties would still qualify. So you can have a house and a vacant lot or two vacant lots, as long as they're contiguous, they could file on that. But we will, as long as you maintain those as your primary residence, you will keep the exemption.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There are a lot of other caveats on the principal residence exemption with changes, and we always refer people. There are publications at the State Tax Commission, and we have those available for review as well that go into the nuances of transferring and who can qualify for principal residence exemptions and what the guidelines are. So as those change, those items are updated, and we find ourselves reviewing those as well. Always learning. Is there any other questions on these items? What you're seeing here on this tab is all years combined into one. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen, I have different years broken out. And this is for, is something we turn over to the county treasurer just so they have a spreadsheet of all the items. We also give them copies of the reports, and we now have those, and I'll bring this over to here so you can see the items, the 4031 sheets. And so that spreadsheet is basically aggregating all these sheets, all these items into one. And you notice there's explanations. In the spreadsheet, we just had one word, simple explanations. But for example, on this principal residence exemption, it mentions, tells it exactly what happened, that the exemption is going from 0% to 100 for 2019. So there's more detail in the explanation, and those explanations are what is printed on the letters to the taxpayers. So your board decision, once official, will allow us to generate letters telling them exactly what the action was.
Okay.
So at this point, we've had the opportunity, and I know that the board members have previously received the information presented to you and to the rest of us this morning, both in electronic and paper format earlier. We've had the opportunity to go over our list of changes for consideration before the board of review. So at this point in time, we'll entertain a motion for a blanket affidavit approval of those changes recommended for the 2020 session of the December Board of Review.
So moved.
Support.
Excellent. Having a motion and support, we will move to the next item of our agenda, which is the correspondence portion. We're not in receipt of any correspondence, which then would bring us to item number 8, which would be a brief recess. so that we can finalize and prepare the minutes of this meeting, to which Andrew can then share with us. So if we can entertain a quick motion for a recess.
So moved.
I'll second.
Then we can watch Andrew type away furiously. We'll come back to order in just a few minutes, and then we'll have our final presentation of the minutes so that we can have our final approval on that.
Or get more coffee.
Or get more coffee, exactly. While Andrew's doing that too, I'm just gonna, and while we're in recess, I'll just briefly bring to the attention of the board that in accordance with the Public Act requiring the assessor reform that established designated assessor and those other issues back in 2018, 2021 will be the first year of the educational requirements for our local boards of review. So we'll be in contact with you all shortly as soon as we have that information presented to us. But in calendar year 2021, in accordance with the state legislature changes for all municipalities for boards of review, will be required to take an educational update on a yearly basis. We anticipate that to be offered online, at least until we figure out if there's going to be any changes with that. It'll probably be countywide. It'll probably be something that'll be presented and provided to us here within the next few months. And as soon as we get that information, we'll be sharing it with all the board of review members for their consideration, and see if we have a few dates, hopefully, that we have some availability, but we'll get that information out to you just as quickly as we possibly receive it.
Thank you.
Good.
I am on the phone with Robin. She thinks there was one other item, and she's just checking our emails to make sure there was something on that one. So if there's a change, we're just gonna check on that.
Good.
Well, that's why Robin's on top of it. She remembers doing it when we did the Citizens Asset Financial. There was another one that should have been a change, so where she's just checking the items right now. As this is the last opportunity for 2020, it's not something we can postpone to the next meeting.
Correct. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you for your patience. Okay, so Robin did discover this one and I entered it into the sheet. It's US National Bank. They filed a timely return, and this was a clerical error where the item was entered into the asset list on 2019 in our system, but the filing showed it in 2018. So what that means is to a different depreciation schedule.
Can you highlight that cell for us again? I know that some of us watch to punch it in, but at least that way we know which one we're looking at.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
So I have to just get this in to the December board action to give it a number.
So that last item again, Andrew, just to clarify, is a clerical error for US Bank National Association, parcel number 691-056-003, ultimately resulting in a reduction in assessed and taxable value from 269.9 down to 268,700.
Correct.
We'll get that assigned a petition number here shortly.
Just imagine if you had to watch me enter all 96 of these.
No,
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay, 268,700. Okay. That has been entered. I'll
So
share
with that, Andrew, if you could tell us who made the original motion to approve, we can see if we can get an amended motion.
Okay, so the original motion, back to that screen. Original motion was Donna Keller, supported by Richard Skalsky.
And I support amending my motion to include that updated information.
And I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will just put in amended. Okay. So here are the minutes that we have here. The determination of the quorum, viewing the board's authority that Aaron did, the public comment period being none, going over the items for consideration, the original blanket motion, no correspondence, the recess, and going back in and amending the blanket affidavit approval after the addition item was discovered. All we need to know is who is making the motion to approve the minutes, and then we can adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support. I don't know if you heard that. I'll support it.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
You were typing.
Yes. Oh, we're close. Okay. So I'm going to say 10:35. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Anything else, Aaron?
That is all. I appreciate everybody's willingness to be able to attend the meeting and support us in this new fashion of how we're probably going to be meeting potentially in the future again. And we'll keep you up to date in regards to the new legislative updates and changes that'll be coming down as soon as we get that information.
I understand you'll need signatures on all this, so we need to arrange that.
At some point in the next 30 days, I know the only one who's skipping town is Richard, and we're going to throw a party when you do leave, but
Yeah, I'll be around until January 1st, so and then that's just a week, and it's just up north, so that's not a biggie.
yeah. Don't go skiing. Don't go skiing, Dick. No.
That's the intent. That's the purpose.
Yeah, just, and it's something that we can work with you on. We're seeing conflicting information. We have this recorded, so we do have your voice vote. But there's been, there's been some conflicting on whether or not signatures are really needed on this. But we'll have this saved as a document of the vote in the minutes, and then from there we can just, as long as within the next 30 days, we'll get that signed. So
Okay, as you confirm what's needed, just let us know, and we'll work around that. So it's not a problem.
just in the past, you'd sign a blanket affidavit, and then Don, you would just sign the minutes here, and that would be it. So for Donna and Richard, you would just sign the blanket affidavit that we have. So
No problem.
Oh, great. I want to recommend everyone get that vaccine when your number is called. We got to put an end to this.
You got that right. And then everybody stay safe out there.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yep, you all too.
You too.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye all. Merry Christmas.